last week, we talked a lot about YouTube's new brand deal tool that they're kind of beginning. This is the spiritual successor to Brand Connect. I think it's rebranded as YouTube Creator Partnerships. It's less catchy, in my opinion. I like Brandcast, but YouTube Creator Partnerships is the new thing. And you and I had a debate about whether YouTube was going to take a cut of the percentage of the brand deals that are done through the platform. Here's what we said. I think that your incentive structure there is plausible, that YouTube really, really prioritizes the health of the economy on their platform very highly.
The creator economy on YouTube.
It's just not as direct. And so like, I think in the long term, it's easy to take their eye off the ball. And so I think that we'll have to keep tracking the feature as well as kind of the new series that I mentioned at the beginning and see whether this kind of continues to develop. I'm not convinced 100%, but you've led me down a path where I can sort of see the logic of it. There's one straggler question, but because we're at the end of the show, we'll save it for the next time. Why doesn't YouTube share more AdSense if they care so much about getting creators paid? Let's finish off the show. The way we've been ending the show is by reading from the Steve Jobs archives.
I can tell you the quick answer to that. There's no other competitors.
What do you mean?
Nobody does AdSense like them. So they set the rate.
I disagree. I think that basically all of the social platforms have an AdSense competitor. I mean, Facebook has advertising that is advertising using the same
technologies.
technologies.
Who pays better than Google?
What do you mean?
What AdSense revenue generating like tool on another platform is as good and reliable as YouTube and Google?
Well, again, I have to ask the question of stakeholders. I have to imagine that you're talking about from a creator's perspective.
From a creator perspective.
Nobody's better than YouTube, but that's my point. The other companies have set the rate at basically zero. In fact, TikTok for many years was at zero. Facebook for many years was at zero. So why didn't YouTube just be like, we're actually going to take 50%. Actually, we're going to take 60%. Actually, we're going to take 80%. I think part of it is because the nature of
or 70% if you're Apple.
But my point is that going the other direction. If they care so much about the health of the creator economy on their platform, shouldn't they be taking less? I don't know. And that's why I find it so.
There's nowhere else to go. There's nowhere else to go.
There's only one YouTube, as they like to say.
Yep.
I only joke. It's 30% from Apple. But, you know, the key argument here is that if YouTube wants creators to get paid more, why isn't YouTube giving creators a bigger percentage? I wanted to give you an opportunity to expand on that thought since we barely got to talk about it last week.
Yeah, part of it is it's not sustainable. Sustainable is better than a lot because if you make a lot of money for 1 month, but then you don't make money for the rest of the year, well, you're scrambling to find another place to make money. You know, it messes with your whole operation, your whole process. And that's what happens at other platforms. I'm not going to name any platforms just because I don't want to throw anybody else on the bus, but they're not YouTube.
Yeah.
They'll pay you really well for like 3 or 6 months. And then it's adios amigo for 2 years. Okay. And then you go to another platform. They've got this creator fund or whatever, pay you amazing for a whole year. They're rolling out these new tools and then bam, it just goes off a cliff. YouTube has just been steady Freddy. So when you ask, why don't they just raise it? You know, they probably have like equation where like, yeah, we could raise it. But man, it's better to just be conservative so that we can keep this up. Because there might be a time, well, aren't you the one that said that YouTube is not profitable?
I don't know what you mean.
YouTube as a platform is not profitable.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, it's very profitable. Yeah.
Okay. But to be profitable, they kept it at this percentage.
Yeah, yeah.
If you push it, what I'm saying is that maybe there was an era or maybe a certain amount of years where they could have changed the percentage. Well, what happens when you change the percentage? Number one, creators start expecting that. Well, what if you have to change it back because things get more tight? The advertising is not paying as much. Well, then they get angry. Like creators, they get emotional. Okay, I'm not trying to say this about all creators, but they don't want any change. They want to make sure it's really fair. So say they go back the other way because they have to do damage control and they're like tight. That up and down is not good. The fact that it's been the same the whole time. And I'm not saying that there's been times where they could have raised it. Maybe they absolutely could have, maybe could. So it's better to just keep it steady, keep it sustainable, especially when there's no one else doing it. I mean, I don't know. When I'm looking at that, I'm looking at your face. It's almost as if you knew of a platform that has a steady ad like tool that is as consistent for we're talking 18 years.
No.
As, Google AdSense. So when I
not
say
as
there's
that.
nowhere else to go, in terms of just pure ads, passive income, mail, like checks in your mailbox, I just don't know of anything else. And that's why they set that percentage. And then thinking about them, right, as a platform, why change something that is working, that is still pulling enough people, even if the creators think they should get paid more. I don't think YouTube, just from meeting people in leadership and people that work at the company, they don't peg me as greedy people like a lot of other corporations are, because they're all about profit. In a way, YouTube almost kind of seems like a really successful nonprofit, even though it's not. It really does. Like, it has this weird culture.
Yeah,
Like, they
I
really
agree.
are in it for the creators. I've said this a lot about their creator events, their creator campaigns, special things they do for creators at events that aren't even theirs. Just no one comes close. The culture of valuing creators is the absolute best. And I think it all started with the fact that, hey, we're going to share in this revenue with you if you do this. And we're setting a very basic percentage, and they just could have never known it would be one of the biggest draws for creators to the platform.
Yeah, that's true. I think that I generally agree with you in the sense that, like, the idea of the consistency of YouTube is the thing that separates them, that there's no peer in that regard. More and more, in fact, it's such a successful model that even like TikTok, for example, is beginning to split some of their ads. Even then, they can't compete in the exact same way because they can't attribute one ad to one video. They have like 3 or 4 videos and then they have an ad. They have 3 or 4 videos and then they have an ad. And so it will never compare one-to-one unless they start doing long form where they put an ad before or after or during, I guess you could say. But in the meantime, I mean, YouTube stands alone. Again, as I joke that YouTube says there's only one YouTube in that regard. But back to the original discussion of YouTube creator partnerships about why they might want to take a cut and why it's so puzzling to me. I had to nerd out over this over the last week because I was like, I could not stop thinking about this. And it's rare for a topic on the show to really consume me in that way. So I was like, I got to figure this out. And so here's the alternate scenario, right? And I'll admit that it's a little bit far-fetched on the scale of YouTube as a whole.
Hypothetical?
It's a hypothetical. Say that you had a local news station, right? Not even a news station, a TV station that does more than just news. They have sports, they have news, they have et cetera. And they have all of the deals that they need in order to sort of like put everything online for free, right? They're basically saying, instead of just putting things over the air and going to the bunny ear antennas on everybody's TVs, we're also going to do it over the ones and zeros on their modems as well. Well, what would they do? Maybe they would start a YouTube channel. They would post every program that they have and do it on their YouTube channel. Or maybe even they would just go live on YouTube and do the exact same thing. Well, think about the broadcast stations right now. How do they make money?
Run ads during their programming.
And how do they get those ads? They're not getting them from Google.
Oh, I never thought about it. They probably work with some ad agency, or they get, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, they have a sales department inside of their thing. And
Right.
so they will go and they will literally say, we have these ads, we have these ad slots, we have these shows, we do this programming, who wants to buy ads? And they'll work with local partners, and then they have their national syndicates as well, like the NBCs of the world, who also have ad relationships. They'll take a cut and kind of act as almost an agency and provide programming. It's kind of an unusual relationship, but everybody kind of throws in a little bit, and they basically go and they have to sell ads on their own. So they already have an existing relationship with these partners. What do those partners want? Well, they want more eyeballs, of course. So wouldn't you agree that if they started putting their content on YouTube in live, that those ad slots would be more valuable for their advertisers?
For their advertisers, the television station that is going on YouTube, yes. But I believe technically it's against the guidelines,
So
YouTube guidelines.
Let's get to this in a second, right? Because if you agree that it is more attractive for the advertisers, then it's also more attractive for the news station because they would be getting paid more money because it's more valuable, period, right? So they've done these direct sales. They have these ads that they're running. What does that look a lot like? A brand deal to me. It's just a brand deal.
Yeah.
And this is sort of the weird thing about YouTube, because in the past, the reason that we call these things separate brand deals on YouTube, it's because it didn't start out that way necessarily in the YouTube space. Now, there were people who were doing it. Don't get me wrong there, especially in the blog world. But a lot of people made their first check by using AdSense on YouTube, becoming a YouTube partner and getting a share of it. They weren't doing any ad sales at all. They were just making the content.
They weren't doing ad sales, but they were doing the early versions of brand deals, and they were just small. Like a good example is one of my wife's first brand deals was a hair product, a hair tool. Sent her the tool and said, "Hey, if you use this or talk about it in your video, we will pay you $150." And that was the beginning of brand deals for us.
And so, but to me, that looks a lot like these news stations saying, we have spot on our thing, we're going to sell you a slot on the air.
Except they're running a commercial versus in our era, we were integrating the brand into the content.
But look at any YouTube channel now. Look at a podcast that happens on YouTube.
I know. That's what's fascinating to me. Like they're just falling into the old best practices that aren't really the best way to do it. And that's why if you're somebody from that old style of integrating the product or brand creatively into the content, you set yourself apart. So it's more appealing because you won't skip it.
Totally.
You know what my big question is, that skip forward button that YouTube implemented. To me, that is interesting because to your point, if the content has an ad spot, this makes YouTube's ads more valuable.
Because you can't skip some of them.
You can't skip some of them.
So we're going to get to that in a second. That's the biggest wrinkle in my argument. So we'll come to it at the very end. But I want to paint the rest of the picture for you here. So you would agree that in their case, because they're already running a lot of ads on their program, that the best case scenario for them would be to actually probably not turn on YouTube AdSense because they don't have to split their money with YouTube in that case. And they already have a sales department and it would be more valuable, so they'd be able to make money there.
I don't believe you can, though. I think YouTube will run ads no matter what.
Well, even if that was the case, that's okay for now because they're still just doing the ad sales. I mean, you would get upside.
Yeah.
Maybe it's even better for them potentially, right?
I'm trying to make how many ads, but
yeah, I'm trying to make it as fair as possible in this scenario. So the reason I paint that picture is to show you that there is a world where you can have news stations, you can have TV stations, you can have creators. I'm just going to sort of put them into that bucket. They're sort of a creator in a very loose sense of the word. Couldn't creators be doing the same thing? Now, I don't know about whether they force ads onto your videos, but for example,
selling ad spots in their content.
Say that you had a creator who gets a lot of views, and they're just ad slots. They're not integrations.
Yeah.
Right? Let's say that they get the sales arm or a company that's as good as that sales arm of that original news station, right? And so they can run enough ads. But let's say they can run 5 or 6 ads at a time in each of the slots in all of their videos, starting to look a lot like a news station at that point. There's only so much tolerance that their audience has for ads. So there's a point at which they would want to turn off YouTube ads if they could. And it's more appealing for them to sell their own ads because they get to keep 100% of that money rather than 55% of that money.
Why do you think it's against the guidelines?
So this is the big question is it against the guidelines? Because to me, there's so much of it happening on YouTube. It's definitely not enforced in that case, right? B, YouTube is not making any money on these YouTube creator partnerships deals, so it's only exacerbating that problem. C, it's a possibility. This is exactly what's happening in that existing community. So why isn't it happening in the YouTube community? To me, the only reason why is because the YouTubers don't have a good enough sales arm in their companies. That's honestly the only thing separating it.
I agree, but again, this is why the skip forward button is a thing.
That is true.
They're doing it because they knew this was happening. I'm just thinking about podcasts, right? Geopolitics, podcasts, and then randomly, what do they sell? The ball shaver, Manscaped. Okay, it's just so random to me, and they read it, and that's when I see the skip forward button the most because it has nothing to do with. Maybe it's a good audience match.
Oh, you've seen it before?
What?
I've never seen the skip button before.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen it
It's
yet.
100% on there all the time.
I got to find the video.
This is why brands, advertisers have to be aware of it. This is why, as a creator, I'm super aware of it because I don't want people to skip because it makes the sponsorship even more or less valuable.
Yeah.
You got to make it part of the creative. You got to make it part of the content. So you can't skip. You have to skip the whole episode. But if the whole episode still delivers the kind of value that the audience wants or is expecting when they're doing their search or it pops up in their feed, well then it's not a commercial.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even seem like an advertisement. It's just part of what you're watching and getting value out of. Creators just got to be smart. But going back to what you said, yeah, they don't have a sales arm. Yeah, they don't know how to set it up. And they don't want to annoy their viewers because they already have ads. But if they keep 100% of it, yeah, that seems hypothetically beneficial, even with the skip forward button, because you can skip forward a lot of the YouTube ads. The problem is it's a lot of work.
It is
a lot of work. That is the point of YouTube's Google AdSense income. You don't have to do anything.
But here's the question. Is it 100% of your potential revenue worth, right? You could literally double your revenue if you were able to get those ads on your own.
Now you got me thinking.
So you can see where I'm going with this, and you can see why it's a big
no.
question.
You want to know why?
Yeah, tell me.
Because the average creator already has a lot to do. And to be a good creative, you've got to have full focus on your content.
But this is my point, though. You already don't have focus on the ads that somebody's running. And you would agree that at a baseline, one of the reasons advertisers want your ad space is because you just have attention. Who cares about your relationship with the audience even? Who cares about any of that stuff? You have their eyeballs. They're literally watching. That's what the whole premise of the existing advertising industry is on existing TV, right? So again, you're thinking about it as a true creator who knows how to make great brand deals, that wants to integrate the product into the thing because it's natural and it actually fits your beliefs and your lifestyle. I'm thinking about it like a cold, calculating businessman who's thinking, I've got eyeballs on Mr. Beast's platform. Why don't I sell a bunch of 30-second ad slots that he doesn't have to think about one bit
Yes.
at all? He just needs to know that there's an ad break.
If you've got that guy in your life, 100% doable.
Yeah, and creators do sometimes. Now, I will say agencies aren't thinking this way in the creator space mode. I don't know any agency that's thinking this way in the creator
because
space.
it's technically against guidelines.
We should look that up.
No, we
because
should definitely look it up.
I'm very curious about
You want me
that.
to look it up while you're talking?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we should probably jump into the next topic.
Okay.
But to me, this is the open question. This is actually a great place for us to address it next week and follow up. The open question is that something that is truly against YouTube's guidelines? And also, why are they not enforcing it if it is? Because that is the big loophole that I see when I look at them advertising YouTube creator partnerships and them not taking any cut. Because I'm like, there is a lot of money that YouTube could lose
My
out on.
guess is it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of money. And again, that is not their thing. That's not their... It's weird that Google and YouTube are technically part of Alphabet, but they are totally different entities. The Google AdSense is not like, it's kind of like what you said. It's like an advertising arm.
Yeah.
But do they have a lot of say in how the product works? Right?
Probably not, no.
Yeah. So, I don't go to YouTube headquarters and see like the Google AdSense corner.
Yeah.
Right. I've never met a Googler that was from the Google AdSense team just in the hallways at YouTube offices.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, they don't have to be in the same office to work together. I'm just saying, it seems like this is one of the strengths and weaknesses, that it's not all like one solid organism.
Yeah.
But once we look at the guidelines, I think that will clear up a lot. I think those guidelines are so strong that they have the option to, and they probably go after. See, it's not worth it to go after a single creator because you have to do that times a million potentially. They go after the big, like if NBC started to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If NBC, I guarantee you, they're gonna stick their auditors on you.